Hernando Cortez, or Hernan Cortez, was born in Madrid, Spain in the year 1485. Not coming from a family of high stature in Spain, Hernando was not set up to make differences politically at an early age. Though through that he would go on to influence not only Spain's involvement in North America, but many other European countries at the time.
After living out the beginning of his life in Spain, Cortez set sail to the New World, where he settled in the island of Santo Domingo. Once he began his new life in a town by the name of Azua, where he would work as a notary for several years. Then, to start his move into politics, he joined an expedition to Cuba in 1511, where he would work in government. This led him on the path to becoming the mayor of a Cuban town by the name of Santiago.
Orchestrated his own expedition in Mexico in 1518. This was initially canceled by the man he had followed to Cuba, Diego Vasquez. Cortez, rather than taking the direction given to him by Velasquez, and continued his expedition to Mexico. This is where his career path took a bit of a turn. Nearly 500 men and 11 ships with Cortez order his men to burn their ships. This act showed that he was never going to leave Mexico and there was no retreat.
If anybody was ever thought to be as two-faced, it was Cortez. Once he and his men had arrived in Mexico, they learned and embraced the cultures of the natives, though this was not the case with all the native people. Some of the native peoples were met with extreme force by Cortez and his men. In his newfound career path as something of a war general, Cortez was now overcome by power. After defeating the locals, the Spaniards were given 20 women, one of them by the name of La Malachin. She played a significant role in the conquest of the Aztec Empire, as she was an interpreter, advisor, and mistress of Hernando Cortez. No longer in the mindset of an explorer, Cortez began plans on taking down the Aztec Empire within Mexico, making an alliance with the native people who hated the Aztecs since they demanded human sacrifices. Taking down warriors from across the Aztec Empire, Hernando, though seen as something of a terror to the people of the New World, was a hero to those in Spain. Cortez and his men were welcomed by Montezuma, and he even pledged loyalty to Cortez with the help of his mistress Mariana. At the coast, 7 Spaniards were killed by rebels. As insurance against further resistance, Montezuma became Cortez's prisoner, where Cortez used him to run the empire effectively, making him his puppet. As Cortez had grown in power, the Spanish government had become concerned and pulled him away from Tenochtitlan, since a force 1,400 men came to kill or capture him. Cortez left a small force at the capital and marched on the Spanish force. He defeated them and gained the loyalty of the survivors, promising them to make them rich. He then returned to the capital to relieve the besieged garrison. He then arrived at the capital. There was fighting in the streets. They returned to the palace where they were besieged. Montezuma tried to convince them to let the Spaniards return to the coast in peace. This led to Montezuma's death. They ran for it. Over half of Cortez's fighting force drowned or were killed when crossing the river, since they were weighed down by their armor and gold. The Aztecs laid chase on July 14, 1520. They caught up to the Spaniards and attempted to destroy them once and for all at the Battle of Atucha. Although hard-pressed, the Spanish infantry was able to hold off the overwhelming number of enemy warriors, while the Spanish cavalry, under the leadership of Cortez, they charged through the ranks and managed to kill one of the Aztec leaders. After that, they broke off the battle and left. Spaniards suffered heavy casualties, losing 860 soldiers, 72 other Spanish members of Cortez's group, including 5 women, and 1,000 of Cortez's allies. Several Aztec noblemen loyal to Cortez, including their families, also perished, including Montezuma's son and 2 daughters.
Cortez then received reinforcements when Ponco River settlement was abandoned and supply ships arrived from Cuba and Spain. The joints of The joint forces of Tlaxcala and Cortez proved to be formidable. One by one, they took over most of the cities under Aztec control, some in battle, others by diplomacy. In the end, only Tenochtitlan remained, despite the stubborn Aztec resistance organized by the new emperor. Tenochtitlan fell on August 13, 1521, during which the emperor was captured trying to escape the city in a canoe. The siege of the city and its defense had both been brutal, largely because he wanted to present the city to his king and emperor. Cortez had made several attempts to end the siege through diplomacy, but all offers were rejected. During the battle, the defenders cut the beating hearts from 70 Spanish prisoners of war, an act that infuriated the Spaniards.
From 1524 to 1526, Cortez headed an expedition to Honduras, where he defeated Cristobal de Olid, who had claimed Honduras as his own. Cortez had suspicions on why Olid had come to Honduras, and they were confirmed when he found out that the governor of Cuba, Diego Velquez, sponsored Olid in his expedition to Honduras. Fearing that Cuauhtémoc might head an insurgence in Mexico, he brought him with him to Honduras when he faced Olid. In a controversial move, Cuauhtémoc was executed during the journey raging over Olid's treason. Cortez issued a decree to arrest the governor, whom he sure was behind Olid's treason. This only served to make everyone mad at Cortez, as he was ruling with great and unlimited power. Cortez returned to Spain to appeal to Charles V. Despite all riches and land he was given, he was not reinstated as governor and was never again held any important office in New Spain. After his exploration of Baja California, Cortez returned to Spain in 1541, hoping to confront angry civilians who had brought up many lawsuits about debts and abuse of power. On his return, he was neglected by the emperor until the emperor allowed Cortez to join him on an expedition to Algeciras, off the Barbary coast, in 1541. At the time, this land was still part of the Ottoman Empire and was used as a base by the famous Turkish corsair and admiral-in-chief of the Ottoman Empire. During this unfortunate campaign, Cortez almost drowned when he was pursuing Barbossa. This turned out to be his last expedition. After spending much of his own money to finance his expedition, he was now heavily in debt, and in February 1544, he made a claim on the royal treasury, but was ignored. Disgusted, he decided to return to Mexico in 1547. On his way to the port, he was struck by a disease. He died in Castillo de la Cuesta, Seville province, on the 2nd of December 1547 from a case of pleurisy at the age of 62. He died with very little recognition for what he had done.
Making an alliance with do something?
No, you're just hitting this and it gets messy. It just doesn't like that.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Where even was I? I'll just start over. Okay. I feel like that's rough. The native people who hated the Aztecs since they demanded a human sacrifices. Taking down warriors from across the Aztec Empire, Hernando, though seen as someone, him to run the government, had become.
Oh no, run the empire.
Okay, wait.
You start as insurance.
Where is that at? Okay, as insurance. Okay, my eyes are all getting tripped up over.
English is hard.
It is. Oh.
Okay. Oh crap! What the heck? Where does my eyes go after that? As insurance. Okay. The government.
The empire effect.
Oh my god.
Okay.
No longer the mindset of an explorer, Cortez began plans on taking down the Aztec Empire within Mexico. Making an alliance with the native people who hated the Aztecs since they demanded human sacrifice. What? Why is there an A?
No! That's
I
exactly.
just realized that.
Literally, this is what's tripping me up.
Yeah.
Why?
Because English, guys. English, it's easy.
Alright. Cortez then received Oh my god, I already messed up. Like, literally 2 words in.
Struggle bus. It's okay. English is a hard language.
It really is.
It is.
The only thing harder is
There are
Mandarin.
lots of theirs.
The more you know.
Don't. You know what I don't understand is, okay, like when people are like, you know, like fox and how, like, the plural of that is foxes, but like ox is oxen. Why isn't it foxen and not like that? I don't understand.
Same reason why you said not decent.
Why, deer, the plural of deer is deer?
Really?
Yeah.
It's not deers.
No. You didn't know that?
That's confusing.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Same with elk. There's an elk over there. That is an elk. You see?
Really?
English, guys.
Yeah, English. Weird language. Alright,